Two of a three-part series about body cams for law enforcement officers here in Montana. MTN News spoke with the Bozeman Police Department, an agency that does not have body cameras on police officers yet. MTN's Gabby Krevitz spoke with the Bozeman PD's interim chief of police to find out how body cams fit into the department's future plans.
At the end of 2020, the Bozeman City Commission approved a capital improvements program that lays out a blueprint of major funding for projects for years to come. That includes funding for body cams for Bozeman police officers, which Interim Chief Veldkamp says won't come without community engagement.
I think this is just one of the components law enforcement is using to try to continue meeting the community's increasing expectations, and rightly so.
Bozeman PD's interim chief of police says they're asking the city of Bozeman to finance a body camera program. He says assuming it gets approved, there's a lot of planning before officers start wearing cameras.
It is going to be a long, complicated process to get the body-worn cameras actually working, and a big part of that is going to be a community engagement process. We want to make sure that we are matching and meeting the community's needs, the community's expectations of what a body-worn camera program would include.
That means having conversations about what the policy behind the cameras would look like and figure out the tough questions. What happens if officers respond to the hospital or somebody's residence or even a grade school? What point does the camera go on and what point does it go off? Which brings up the issue of privacy concerns.
How do we capture the evidence we need, increase trust and transparency, provide the best court cases we can with the best documentation, yet respect people's right to privacy? And those are the exact issues we're trying to make sure we put together correctly by putting together a community engagement plan.
But at the end of the day, Veldkamp says residents need to remember the limitations of the body cams.
Communities often see the body-worn cameras as the solution to so many of the issues and concerns they have about law enforcement. To us, it's just one piece. I think an even bigger piece is the fact that each agency has to ensure they are hiring the correct people, the very best possible people, training them appropriately, clearly communicating their expectations, and then holding each officer to that standard.
Reporting in Bozeman, Gabby Krevitz, MTN News.
Thank you, Gabby. And tomorrow, Gabby sits down with the Montana Racial Equity Project to hear their thoughts on what body cams could mean for residents and Black, Indigenous, and people of color within the community.